It's time for the all-new online and in-video Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sanford Health. This weekly video podcast features the head coach of the Indoor Football League's defending champion, the Sioux Falls Storm. Each week we visit with Coach Riggs and talk about games and events around the IFL, have a recap and highlights from the previous Storm game, and Coach's scouting report of the Storm's next opponent. Also on the Kurtiss Riggs Show are guests, either Storm players or someone from the Storm organization, the IFL, or anyone of interest to Storm fans. And now, here is your host of the Kurtiss Riggs Show, IFL Hall of Fame sportscaster, Rich Rosty.
And hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And very special show for you whenever you're watching it. And it is homecoming week for the Sioux Falls Storm, something new the Storm organization has not ever done. But it's a way for folks to be invited back, come back home and watch Storm games and come back and be a part of the family, because we've had such a great loyalty in fans, but the pandemic and the changes and everybody, some people maybe don't feel as comfortable about coming back to the game. So this is termed the homecoming, inviting people to come back, enjoy the festivities. They're going to be tailgating starting at 3 o'clock. Tom Watson's going to be playing at the 5:30 media sound stage. And then there's going to be a parade at 5 o'clock. Doors open at 6 o'clock to kick off at 7:05. So it's homecoming, but it's also a very special weekend for the Sioux Falls Storm, as they will be introducing and having the ceremony for the Hall of Fame honorees. 3 members of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, 2 players, 1 on staff, being inducted into the Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame. And that ceremony will be at halftime. Corey Johnson, defensive end, Andre Fields, cornerback, and an old white-haired guy that's been around for 20 years will all be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that ceremony takes place at halftime. But it's a Sioux Falls Storm taking on the Spokane Shock, a game that we anticipate will be fantastic. 2 very good coaches, excellent, experienced teams on both sides of the ball, both with winning records, both coming off big wins. It's going to be a great time to come back to the Sioux Falls Storm and catch a game. It is homecoming 2021, and look forward to have you coming back. On the show today, we'll be talking to Storm head coach Kurtiss Riggs about the win up in Bismarck. We'll also talk about the Shock coming into town next weekend. And then we'll also talk about games around the IFL. And we have 2 exceptional interviews with Corey Johnson and Andre Fields. And I'll tell you right now, folks, this will be the longest Kurtiss Riggs show that we've ever had, but it might be the best because of all the things that these guys share about their careers and what it's meant to wear a Sioux Falls Storm uniform and now to be enshrined in the Ring of Honor at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. Also, at the end, Coach Riggs will give us a scouting report of the Spokane Shock, and all of that coming up on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. So glad you joined us. We'll be back with more as we pause for this timeout.
Powerful and playful. Delicate and precise. Bold and carefree. It's the way you move, and it moves us. To deliver care for your whole family. To provide options beyond the expected, to help you leave pain in the past and find your way forward. Orthopedics and sports medicine at Sanford Health. Health lives here.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old-school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high-quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rusty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rusty.
And hi, everybody. Joining me now is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Well, Coach, you've had a little bit of traveling the last couple of weeks, going out to Louisville and on the bus up to Bismarck, North Dakota. It'd be nice to be at home this week, won't it?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, we went from, some scattered flights that kind of got delayed because of some bad weather. And then a nice, beautiful bus ride up to Bismarck.
Yeah, what a beautiful bus ride it is. And coming back in the middle of the night. What time did you get home, if I could ask?
Yeah, back at about 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, you made good time.
On the way up there, we got up there, and it was 106 degrees the day we got there on Friday. And it was about 103 degrees on Saturday, so it was toasty up there.
You know, you talk about the parts of the country. You don't think of North Dakota being the hot spot temperature-wise in the United States.
Yeah, you really don't.
Well, Coach, it was a busy weekend around the IFL. All the teams were in action. And the first game was up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, as the Arizona Rattlers go up there. And they wind up winning 41-34, but they had a 27-0 lead at halftime. And Green Bay must have clawed back. Did you have a chance to check that game out?
I did. I actually watched it on the bus going to Bismarck. It was dominant performance first half by Arizona. And then second half, Green Bay kind of found some things that worked. Their tailback's very good for Green Bay. He had some big runs, and they just kind of fought and clawed their way back into that game, and actually had a chance for an onside kick at the end. I'm sure Coach Guy was not happy to get a win, but not happy with that second half. And it's interesting with their roster. They didn't suit Monroe.
Oh, really?
Lassane is very good, but Monroe is. He's like an athletic offensive tackle out there trying to tackle him. Oh, he's a monster. And then Trayvon Williams didn't suit the linebacker. They had Ricky Wyatt back suiting. So it's interesting to see what they're doing with their roster.
Yeah, you never know. At this time of the year, it could be injuries, might be just sitting, resting, it might be just reevaluating. A lot of different things can go on through the mind of a coach at this time of the year, trying to solidify a roster. And Coach, when you've been in this league a very long time, what people don't realize that the transactions page is probably one of the things that you have on speed dial on your computer, because that's such a valuable source of information, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it gets sent right to us, usually before it's put out for the public. We get updated on whatever transactions are happening. So you do keep track of who's on what roster, who's going where, when someone gets released, all of those things, when guys get taken off RTR, so they may be able to play again. And there's quite a few things. And then you also get a fine and suspension list too. And after seeing some of the games this weekend, I'm sure there's going to be some hefty fines coming out.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, if you didn't see the Iowa-Tucson game Saturday night, Rich, there was quite a scuffle on that one where 2 Tucson players got ejected. And I believe one of them also, he hit an official. And I would suspect he'll be banned from the IFL. But I'm sure there's going to be some fines that go along with those 2 suspensions.
And that's one of the things, a point of emphasis this year is taunting, but fighting and especially making contact with an official is totally something that they will take a serious look at and not take any guff for that and lay down heavy penalties because of it, because there's no place in sports for that anywhere.
Yeah, and I think one thing you'll see is that the league will catch on that number 6 for Iowa, the middle linebacker, he's the guy involved in everything. He was involved in Bismarck's offensive tackle, number 51, getting ejected. The kid retaliated, and I think he spit in number 6's face. He was involved in the altercation at Tucson, number 6 for Iowa, and he actually got a personal foul when he spit in Lorenzo's face, but didn't get ejected. He just got a 15-yarder for it. But the common problem here is that kid's involved in everything, and eventually the league will catch on that, hey, it's the people retaliating that are going to extreme measures and need to be punished, but also the instigator needs to get a consequence here too.
And that's sometimes the toughest part to see is the instigator.
Yeah.
It's always easy to see the rebound, but you don't see the throw first, and that's where it usually happens. Iowa Barnstormers go down to Tucson, Arizona to take on the Sugar Skulls. That's Iowa facing their former coach, Dixie Wooten, and Iowa came up with a solid win down there, 33-13.
Yeah, and the score is not indicative of it was really a close game until the fourth quarter. Then Tucson just started making mistakes and Iowa capitalized. Iowa's playing solid. They're playing well enough to win. And they squeaked out the win against Bismarck, and now they're able to go on the road at Tucson and get a big win after Tucson just came up with a huge win at Duke City. But you could see the self-destruction for Tucson and then Iowa capitalizing, much like they did against us. We turned the ball over against them. They capitalized and they got the win.
I watched that game for a little while, and Coach Guy was the color commentator for the broadcast because they had played previously at Green Bay. And I didn't get a chance to watch the very end of that game. But you as a coach, and I don't know what Coach Guy did, but you as a coach, it'd be awfully hard to watch a team that you're commentating on that you actually own without making basically comparisons or judgments is what your coach is doing. It'd be tough to do.
It's difficult to not have the comments too, like we need to do this, or our defense needs to, that's the difficult part. I remember doing a USF Augie football game, and it was very difficult for me to, really catch myself from making those types of comments.
Well, that's very true. There's no doubt about that. Then, of course, the Storm was victorious over Bismarck 64-28. We'll talk about that game in the next segment. And then I want to talk a little bit just about Spokane Shock. That's over. They defeated Northern Arizona, the Wranglers, 42-24, convincing win. And their running back, Devontae Sapp Lynch, did not play in that game as they had Noel running in the backfield instead. Tell us a little bit about that game, because Spokane is the next opponent for the Sioux Falls Storm.
Well, that too was a close game. It was very competitive. And then when Northern Arizona had to answer a score, they had a big turnover, and that's what created the gap in the fourth quarter for Spokane. But they've got a lot of vets, a lot of seasoned players, a veteran quarterback, a lot of veteran leadership on the defensive side. They're a team that's very emotional. They play with a lot of emotion. When they make a big play, they're going to let you know about it. It's one that we've got to really be ready for, just going out and doing our job and not responding to any of that stuff.
Now, one of the other games before we get to the last one, Massachusetts Pirates played the Louisville Extreme. 47-42 Massachusetts, as they have had a pretty good start to the season. Tell us about that game.
I didn't see it. I just saw the score was close. Louisville is very scrappy. They find a way to stay in it, much like ours. We're up 15 with a chance to really put the game away, and then they get the safety and touchdown and fumble and touchdown, and all of a sudden they're leading the game. But they just find a way to fight and claw to stay in that, and eventually they'll get some of those wins.
Now, the other game that went on was probably the game of the week as far as the score, as far as the action, as far as things going on, and that was the Frisco Fighters, who are the only undefeated team going into that game of the league, but going into that game, taking on the Duke City Gladiators out of Albuquerque. And tell us about that game as much as you know, and we'll talk about the ending.
Well, the ending's about all I know, Rich. I just know that Duke City scored a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion to tie the game. They kicked a deuce to go up 2, and then Frisco, last second with no time, or at the end of the game, kicked a field goal to win the game by 1, which it sounds like it was back and forth, exciting game. That's the reason why we brought that deuce rule into this, though. If someone's willing to take that chance right there, that's a gutsy call.
And again, what the deuce rule is, within the last minute of the first half and the last minute of the ball game, if a team scores and the game is very close, once they score, if they kick off and their kicker puts it through the uprights, they get 2 points for that. So technically you could get a 6-point touchdown, 2-point conversion, and a 2-point deuce. You could have a 10-point swing, and then the other team gets the ball at the 5-yard line. So a 10-point deal, if you're down by 9, you could actually take the lead. Ordinarily, you'd have to have another possession to be able to do that. So it's a very interesting part of the game. Plus, you have to have a pretty good leg on your kicker, as most of these guys in this league do.
Yeah, we actually thought we had a good opportunity to go for the deuce right before half. We scored the touchdown against Bismarck. The problem was the scoreboard hangs down so low in Bismarck. You're either going to have to kick a hard line drive or you're not going to be able to kick one deep and try to get through it.
Standings right now, can't give you a full recap of the standings. The stats aren't updated on the league site, but the one leading team, undefeated, and that's the Frisco Fighters at 3-0. When we come back with the Storm head coach, we'll talk about that game up in Bismarck, North Dakota, the Storm victorious, and we'll be back right after this.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old-school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high-quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rosty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rosti.
And welcome back for our second segment with the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Well, Coach, you go up to Bismarck, North Dakota. You get the win up there 64-28. And as I watched the game and kind of looked around as you scored and how things were going, to me that looked like that was very much a statement game, that your club, and you made a statement to not only Bismarck but to the league, is saying the Storm has things going right at this particular time. Tell us your thoughts about that.
I don't know if we really have things going right. I mean, I feel like we played better. I feel like offensively the first half we were really good, and we definitely capitalized on mistakes made by Bismarck. I feel like the quarterback for Bismarck, who I thought was playing pretty well coming into the game, did not have a good first half. I mean, he missed some open guys. And then, we made them pay for some of the mistakes they did make. But we were explosive. There's no doubt about it. I mean, offensively, we were clicking on all cylinders, and defense got us those extra possessions, and they had some 3 and outs for us. So I do agree with Bismarck was saying this was a statement game for them. That was a big thing for them up there. And I think we kind of simmered those high emotions that they were having about being 3-2 and this being their opportunity.
Well, Coach, in that game, I believe that you scored a touchdown on all but one possession. You got a field goal on the other. A very strong offensive showing. But you did something I haven't seen before. I don't believe that you alternated quarterbacks the entire game.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that. I'm not a fan of it, Rich. But both guys handled it well. I thought Tommy played outstanding. I thought Zoe played well, but Zoe had some mistakes. He's just he's got that winner's edge to him where he wants to, win on every play and sometimes not live to see the next down. And it caught him. And one of them we were able to get a challenge and win the challenge to overcome the interception he threw. But 2 very gifted quarterbacks and really, rotating didn't slow the offense down at all against Bismarck.
No, it seemed like, the announcers talked about tempo. A lot of times with 2 different quarterbacks, your tempo gets all messed up. But your offense seemed to react well to both of them, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they did. I mean, we had to call some timeouts because of some communication issues, but it wasn't the quarterbacks. It's just some new guys on the offense. And I think the quarterbacks did a great job of managing the game against the defense that we felt like we could score against.
When you challenge that call, and it was watching the replay, it was quite obviously going to fall in your favor. But challenging and winning a challenge doesn't happen all the time, does it, Coach?
No, it doesn't. I mean, even as much as guys are on the headset telling me, yeah, he's definitely up, you got to hope that the ref has a good camera angle. You got to hope that the system works. You got to hope that his interpretation is very clear. Because if it's not clear, if it's close, a lot of times they'll stick with the call that's made on the field. I was upset though with the head linesman and the line judge. Like, how do you not call that? I mean, like, clearly the guy's hand is up when the ball snapped. If it's a defensive end, maybe you think it's close, but the nose guard, his hand is right by the ball. So when the ball is moving and there's no hand down, that should be an easy call for them. And, I let them know I didn't appreciate them having to make me prolong the game and use that challenge flag, that we could all make our bedtime a little easier if they would do their job. But we got through it, though.
I imagine the head of officials, director of officials, Tom Faustin, will have that on his weekly video of things that he rates on the officials, and he'll have a comment or two about that. Coach, when you have a game like that, the score 64-28, Storm victorious, But for fans, a lot of times they don't see all of the things that are going on behind the scenes, the things that you're looking for, the things that you want to see, or the things that you don't see. Tell us a little bit more about the behind the scenes things that you're looking for, things that you were satisfied or not satisfied with in that game.
Well, some of the things you want to watch for is scheme-wise, are we getting better? Are the guys starting to understand the schemes better? Maybe they're not making the plays, but are they in the right position? So that's something we're looking at. I feel like our receivers were not doing a good job blocking. We didn't do a good job for Nate and the quarterbacks when they were running. They can do a better job of that. And a lot of it, where it's most frustrating, is it was effort more than anything else. And that's where we need to be better at. Defensively, I thought, the addition of Jermaine Robinson really paid dividends, but, two of the easy touchdowns they got were two of our veteran guys, Jermaine Robinson and Trey Wofford, not the rookies, making just overly aggressive mistakes. And they should know, they should be smarter than that, especially on a down and distance situation. But overall, the majority of guys were having a better feel, better understanding of the scheme of what Coach Fields, Coach Hermanson, and Coach Johnson are trying to implement.
When you have a game that is going very much in your favor, and sometimes attitudes, you're talking about effort, and sometimes effort is sometimes indicative of point spread. And so many times that you see players that will maybe relax or let down or cut back because of the point spread. One of those things, it's difficult to coach, but tell us how you approach that the same way as if you play a team that you're expected to win, and how you sometimes a person can play down to their opponent.
Yeah, that definitely happens, Rich. I mean, you try to instill that they're all trying to move up, and every play is a play that a scout can watch. Every play is a play that could make or break their opportunity to get into an NFL or CFL camp. And they have to have the self-driven goals of every play I'm going to win. Every play is one that I can showcase what I can do. Not about, we got this game in the books, it's a wrap, let's just go through the motions here. Because that's also when guys get hurt, is when they start to play that way.
Coach, you had a couple different players. You talked about Jermaine Robinson had been with the Sioux Falls Storm before, and then he was a part of this game. But there's also a player I want to talk a little bit about we haven't mentioned, Reed Harrison DeCrow. Tell us about this young defensive player.
Well, he came in against Louisville and had one practice is all, and played pretty well. I thought he was outstanding in Bismarck game. I mean, we'll see his grade sheets, but the reason I felt like he was good was I didn't notice him the entire game. And that's always a good thing, and I think Famous Hasty is doing a good job, but he's got to make the plays. He's in position. He was in position against Louisville, couldn't make the plays. And he was in position for their first touchdown pass to knock it away, or even pin the guy against the wall. And instead the receiver goes over and catches it. And I think you'll see that Famous has a feel for the speed and playing on the smaller field now. Now he's just got to start to take that next step, and that's making those plays.
His name, Famous Hasty, new name for the Sioux Falls Storm fans to get to know, because like Coach said, he has the upside. It sounds like it's very, very much strong. Your quarterbacks, the stats, as far as things happening, weren't so outstanding, but the touchdown production of both of them on the ground was very good, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah. I mean, you look at that first touchdown run Tommy had. I mean, we missed the linebacker on a block, and Tommy just makes him miss and runs 35 yards for a touchdown. That's that athleticism you see with him. But I thought he was very composed when he was delivering the ball too. And yeah, both guys, I think a little more with Zoe. Zoe had to overcome some first and second down issues and make some big third and fourth down plays. Whereas Tommy, it seemed like the drives were a little more fluid.
Javius almost had another kickoff return for a touchdown, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought he got robbed at 2 touchdowns. I thought 2 of them he was in. But the kick return he does, he goes out on the 1 yard line. And boy, people don't get a chance to replay it, but he had a great stiff arm, and then he cuts it right. And just gets pushed out at the last second. But he's been great. He's been tremendous as a runner and as a kick returner.
Coach, you had a game victory up there, 64-28. Congratulations, a good road win. Your team moves up to 3-1 on the year. We'll talk about Spokane just in a little bit. But any other comments about this win up at Bismarck, North Dakota, where it was 103 degrees?
Yeah, it was hot. No, it was a good win, good road win, and excited to get back home now.
Coach, we'll talk to you in just a bit. Stay tuned, folks. We'll have a couple of interviews with the Hall of Fame inductees, Corey Johnson and Andre Fields. And then a little bit later, we'll have the head coach again on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll be back right after this.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rosty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras, 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I'm Rich Rosty, and joining us now, one of the new inductees into the Sioux Falls Storm Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame. Defensive nose guard for the Sioux Falls Storm for so many years. Currently a defensive line coach with the Sioux Falls Storm, Corey Johnson. Corey, great to have you on this show, but also congratulations, because your honor is richly deserved with what you have done for the Sioux Falls Storm.
Hey, Rich, thanks for having me on the show. Yeah, it's special. I played for 10 years and everything, so that's great. I just think I can't say it enough what the Storm has done for me, just in my personal life, my professional life. The Storm family, as we call it, you're basically my dad. So what the Storm has done for me, I mean, yeah, it's cool to get these honors, but I'll forever be indebted to the Storm. So,
well, what people don't realize is the fact that there was a time that things weren't going very well for you personally, and the Sioux Falls Storm was probably the one anchor that you really had, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was young, and we're all young. I made a lot of bad decisions for several years, and finally those bad decisions eventually caught up to me. And I'm not going to go into details about some of those, but yeah, I mean, it took Kurtiss. I'll never forget it. Probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Like, called me over to his house. We sat in his garage, and he ripped into me for a good 45 minutes. And I knew right away, you can tell when Kurtiss is mad. And so I don't know if he built up himself to be mad because he wanted to, you know, from a psychological standpoint. But, I mean, he let me have it and kind of outlined how things were going to go for me, you know, with me being suspended and everything. And, you know, I accepted it, and it kind of helped me grow up. That helped me grow up. And then meeting my wife, that helped me grow up. Those two things kind of, you know, those are the anchor points of where I kind of transitioned from idiot Storm player to adult life.
But the one common thing that you had, the one thing that you could fall back on was the ability to play football. But when that was taken away, it was probably the first time in your life that you could not play football. And all of a sudden you had to stand apart from it, only yourself, and to look in the mirror and say, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. You know, and the worst part about it, you know, so I missed like a week of practice because of those issues that were going on. And then I came back and I still I practiced with the team, but didn't get to reap the reward, which is playing in games, you know, during that suspension. So yeah, it was frustrating from a standpoint of like I was ready to go. I'd worked out, I'd prepared. You know, when we talk about these awards and these honors and stuff, I don't think people understand like the amount of work. You know, October 1 came around before, you know, October 1 going into the 2007 season, and it was 5 months of getting after it. I mean, I did acceleration 3 days a week. I did field workouts 3 days a week. I lifted 3 days a week. You know, I was doing cardio 5 days a week. Like all of that stuff, the amount of time we put into this to be at our best when the season starts, like it's a lot of work. And so, yeah, to have that taken away from me in 2010 it was supposed to be a 4-game suspension, ended up being 3. Yeah, I mean, it sucked to say the least.
But the thing about it is, Corey Johnson has a heart. And your heart was what really started to carry you, because there was a time that you were thinking, maybe wrongly, but your heart for football, the heart for playing, and the heart for not letting somebody down on your team overruled a lot of things that were going on personally. And you changed your life, and you changed it so for the better, young man. And
yeah, thank you.
And, you know, you said maybe I'm your dad, but I think that Sue, my wife, is one that you're really close to, and what she has meant for you, because you even call her on Mother's Day, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's one of those unique things that we, you know, there's a bond. You know, football is one of those things. We said this to our guys last week. Like, football's not a thing you get to do forever. It's not, you know, noon basketball at the local gym. It's not slow pitch softball. Like, you get a short window to play football, and you got to take advantage of it. And then in that short window, like, you meet so many people that you need to do a good job of like honoring those relationships. And one of those things, like when you're playing with your buddies, like, you don't want to be the guy that lets them down, and you also don't want to be the guy that says, hey, you let me down. It's, hey, I got your back. Like, I got you on this next one. And so you just build such a strong camaraderie, to the point, I mean, I'm still on group texts with Rockman Crable, Brian McIntyre, and Anthony Thomas. Like, and we talk regularly. You know, so it's just, when you build up those relationships, it's one of those things where you just, you don't want to be the guy that lets them down. You want to do your job. And you knew the ultimate goal. Like, it was cool. Like, early on in my career, I definitely cared about stats. Like, and I think every young player does. But as it went on, I quickly became like, no, I care about rings. Like, rings are more important because rings last forever. Yeah. No one's going to remember how many sacks you had in a season, or that you led the league in sacks in a season, or that teams couldn't run the ball on you. I mean, they might remember that somewhat, but, you know, what people do remember is rings, and what you'll remember is those rings.
You know, when you talk about the maturity and you talk about the camaraderie, And those that have not played competitive sports have no idea the deepness of those bonds that you have with one another. And a part of what I equate that with is the closeness of travel. And what people don't realize, when you spend 10, 12, 14 hours on a bus with a bunch of guys, you either get along or you don't. But if you get along very well. And that's what really is where the bonding happens, doesn't it, Corey?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if there's anyone that I never got along with. There's certainly people that I didn't hang out with outside of, being on the football field. But, a lot of those special groups that we had, the 2006, 2007, 2015, like those special groups that we had, everyone got along and we knew each other because, like, you just went out of your way to, like, you're on a bus for 8 hours, so you might as well get to know your teammates better.
Right.
So you after a game when we win, you might have a couple beers on the bus and all of a sudden I'm sitting next to James Terry, or I'm sitting next to Brandon Johnson or Clinton Solomon, or, just to name some of the names, and you get to know them. You get to know, like, where they're from, do they have kids? What's their life like outside of football? Yeah. I mean, once you start to learn all that stuff, well, then it becomes even more important, because for a lot of us, football is all we were hanging on to. Some of us get fortunate and we find careers and we find a way to make both of these worlds work together. But not everyone's that lucky. And so, that's where, like, hey, I know this guy's hanging on to football, so let's make sure he's hanging on for a reason.
Talking with Corey Johnson, defensive nose guard for the Sioux Falls Storm, and one of the honorees going into the Sioux Falls Storm Ring of Honor. Corey, you played defensive nose guard, came out of St. Cloud State University. Your hometown is Aberdeen, if I remember right.
Correct.
And you came to Sioux Falls, and you came here with an attitude, didn't you? Did you change it?
You could say that. It was one of those things, like, so we had NFL teams coming to our practices and stuff. And they definitely came over and watched the D-line. I wouldn't say specifically because of me. I would say more because of Charlie Cosgrove. He was our All-American D-end. He was NCC Defensive Player of the Year in 2005. Just an absolute stud. But while they were there, I was going to take advantage of them watching. And one of my coaches had said, like, hey, a couple teams asked about you and stuff. So I never expected a lot to come out of it, but I had hoped to get a pro day. Like, that's when you're at a D2 school, that's your dream. Like, just give me a chance. Yeah. And I got hurt my senior year playing against USD. And then didn't play the rest of the season. I missed the last 5 games of the year with a torn groin. And so obviously rehabbing, getting ready, nothing, no phone calls, no nothing. I had a choice to play for the 4 teams that reached out to me were Sioux City, Sioux Falls, the Green Bay Blizzard, which was an A2 team. And then there was a team out in Vermont, like called the Vermont Twisters or something. I don't even remember what they were called. And so I chose Sioux Falls. A, it was close to home. B, my grandma was dying of cancer up in Aberdeen, so I wanted to be close for that. And so it made sense. And then Colin Steen also was like, hey, our nose tackle from our championship team retired, so it's up for grabs. And I didn't know. I was like, okay. A, I didn't know the Storm was 8-8 and won that championship. It is what it is. And then also, like, when I got here, I'll never forget the first meeting when Kurtiss is like, hey, as you guys can see, there's 40 of us in this room, and I only get to keep 30, or maybe it was 45 and 30. And so started looking around and realized, like, some of you are going to be leaving. I had moved all of my stuff to Sioux Falls, like literally everything. And I was like, I can get cut? Like, what? I thought I signed a contract. So, I was 22 years old and I had no idea. So I just did everything in my power to make sure I made it. But yeah, I mean, the maturity is a big thing.
You know, the thing about playing for the Sioux Falls Storm, players coming into the Storm now have a feeling of, boy, I'm joining a really great franchise, franchise that's won all of these championships. And to be a part of the Sioux Falls Storm, that's what's going to happen to me. But they don't realize the guys like you, for 10 years, toiled on the field to build the program to where it became a team with a 40-game winning streak overall, 68-game winning streak at home. To people, and I talked about this quite a bit about on the radio, people have no idea how hard it is to make it look that easy. Tell us about that.
Yeah, and there were guys before me, the Casey Beanhoffs, Matt Holmlin, Mark Blackburn, Andre Fields. I mean, just to name a few. They started this. Yeah, Nate Floyd, Austin Flieger, Bill Gasson. Like those guys. Yeah. Those guys started, what the Storm is now. I was lucky. Like when I came here in 2006. I mean, look at the group that was around me. It was Andre Fields, Trice Crump, Justin Landis, Shannon Poppinga, another great one, Mark Blackburn, another great one, Floyd and Flieger. Like it was literally like this really good team that already existed, and then we just need a nose tackle. So I got lucky to come in with that group. Because those guys really paved the way. But yeah, you're right. Like it was, the next probably that 05 to 08, 09 seasons that really, really put us on the trail where we are now. But with that, when we try to preach this to our guys now, like no matter what, when we walk into anyone's arena, they're going to give us, they're bringing their A-plus game. They could be 0-11. Yeah. And we're going to get their best game because that's their championship. If they can say, hey, we didn't have a great season, but we beat Sioux Falls, like that's a notch on their belts. And so we have to do everything in our power when we go into these games. Like, hey, understand, like you're going to get their best shot. So you need to play your best.
10 years you were on the field as a defensive nose guard for the Sioux Falls Storm. And during that time, you became the all-time stats leader, I believe, for the IFL. Is that correct?
No, I don't think so. So I'm the all-time sack leader for the Sioux Falls Storm, okay. But I'm always quick to make sure everyone understands this, because yeah, it's cool that I'm there, but I played for 10 seasons, so average per season is not great. Nate Floyd, who had it before me, I think he played 4 seasons, maybe 5, and set the record. So let's not get it twisted. Nate Floyd is by far. I always say this. Nate Floyd's the greatest D end to ever play for the Storm. Rockman Crable's the greatest D lineman to ever play for the Storm because Rock was good at D end and nose tackle. Yeah. Floyd's the most dominant D end. I would say, don't judge me on this, but I think I'm the best nose tackle. But I put Floyd and Rock ahead of me if I was drafting a team for sure.
Folks, if you don't remember Rockman Crable, what amazing talent that he was. But I have to tell you one story about the first time he joined the team. We were on the bus waiting for him to finish his physical, and he got on the bus, and the chatter of the bus ceased. It became totally quiet because as he just walked on the bus, everyone was in awe of this man walking onto the bus and joining the Sioux Falls Storm, Rockman Crable. That's how much he brought to a team just in his appearance, his mannerism, and the way that he played the game. What amazing man and amazing talent that he was.
Yeah, for sure. It went silent for about a couple minutes, and then Brian McIntyre made a comment because I think he had a dip it, and McIntyre said, "You chew," and he's like, "Yeah." And then it was all on after that. But yeah, one of the few guys. This just happened this last week where a guy doesn't get to practice with us or anything, but we know what that person has. And so got a physical, got on the bus. We drove to Billings for 16 hours or whatever, and Rock started for us. Never practiced with us, nothing. In indoor, there's not a lot you can do up front in terms of you can't twist or anything. So it's just learning the verbiage. And literally, I remember that whole game, when we would call something, I would be like, hey, we're blitzing here, so you got to stay outside, or hey, we're slanting here, so this is what you got to do, or we just communicated, and that's probably one of the reasons why he and I became such good friends.
Two men that I come to think of, along with Rockman Crable, as far as large hands, he and Benaiah Smith had probably two of the largest hands I'd ever seen. And Rockman Crable had tremendous power just in his fingers. He was just amazing to watch. But anyway, before we go, and I want to do this because it's been such a joy visiting with you, Corey. You have been like a son for me. In fact, when I started doing the broadcast for the Sioux Falls Storm, I used to say that I was old enough to be their grandpa or their dad, and now I'm old enough to be the grandfather of a lot of the players on the bus. But anyway, I have to ask you this. Over the course of the years that you played, there has to be a moment, a game, a situation, an activity, or something that happened that stands out in your mind that you remember so distinctly. Could you share that with us?
Oh, that's a tough question, Rich.
I come up with one good question a year.
Yeah.
You have to be lucky enough to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if one sticks out. Probably one of my favorite seasons of playing ever was 2015. And so I would say the one thing that always sticks out to me is just, and that was, the reason I knew I was ready to retire is my body was beat up, 10 years playing. And then just that last year was so special, to go undefeated, win the championship, get all league honors, just everything that happened that year. And then the group that I played with, that would be the moment or the thing that I would say was awesome. Like offensive and defensively, we've had some really special groups here. We actually talked about this group on the bus back from Bismarck. That was one of those groups where it just was a special bond, to where I still communicate with all of those guys on a regular basis, whether it's through Snapchat or Facebook or text. That was a special group. So I would say the moment, or whatever you want to say, that would be it. Probably second one would be Ezzy Obiora in 2015.
Yeah.
Going into the Green Bay game, I was a half a sack away from tying the record and a sack away from breaking the record. And so on one of the plays, I don't remember what quarter it was, I get the sack, and the quarterback fumbles the ball, so it's sack fumble. As he picks up the ball, runs it in, scores a touchdown, and we do our little celebration, and then he quickly ran over to me and handed me the ball and was like, hey, congratulations. And I have that ball at my house now. So that was, for one of my teammates to recognize, like, hey, he's close, I finally got it, and then he gives me the football. That was a pretty special moment.
One thing, folks, you have to realize, Corey's job was not to get sacks. His job was to stuff up the middle, maintain control of that center, push him back into the quarterback so somebody else could get the sack. So for him to accomplish what he did with the role that he maintained, and that's one of the keys of playing for Coach Riggs, you have to maintain and play the role that you are assigned in order for somebody else to be successful, which makes the team successful. And Corey Johnson did that, and still, over the course of time, became the all-time sack leader for the Sioux Falls Storm. He did his job, and he did it right, and you still made it. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rich.
Corey, it's been great talking to you. Congratulations on your well-deserved honor in the Ring of Honor for the Sioux Falls Storm, and we'll see you Saturday for the installation.
Hey, I'm excited about it. That's among us, we all recognize, like, being in the Storm Hall of Fame is a little bit more important than the IFL Hall of Fame. So I'm definitely excited about the honor.
Yeah. I'll be talking to Andre Fields coming up next as the Kurtiss Riggs Show continues. We'll be back right after this.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rosty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras, 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And joining me now, one of the other members of the class of 2021 going into the Sioux Falls Storm Ring of Honor, the Hall of Fame. Defensive back for the Sioux Falls Storm for many years and now defensive coach with the Sioux Falls Storm, Andre Fields. Andre, congratulations on being named to the Ring of Honor, and it is a privilege for me to talk to you today about your career in the past.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very, very excited. It's my first, Hall of Fame induction, so I'm excited, and I couldn't be happier to go in with two guys that I spent a lot of time with, both playing and coaching actually. So,
well, the time,
you guys as well.
Well, thank you very much, but the time has gone very fast, and I want to let folks know kind of a little bit of background that you grew up in outside of Gary, Indiana, somewhere. Didn't you grow up that area?
Right. So it's just south of Chicago, but we're close to the Hammond border, so we aren't very far from Gary, Hammond, Indiana. Like literally, the gas station that we could go to. We can go to a gas station in Hammond, Indiana to get the cheap gas is what we used to call it. Just right outside of Chicago, on the south side, kind of the southeast side, in a suburb called Dalton. Which literally butts up to the southern tip of the city of Chicago. And
from there, you wound up at Vermilion, South Dakota, and played for the Coyotes. How did you wind up going from Indiana all the way to the beautiful grasslands of Vermilion and southeastern South Dakota?
Well, I obviously got a football scholarship there, and the defensive back coach at the time for USD was from the same area that I was from. So he had grew up very close to Dalton, a suburb called Harvey. We went to rival high schools, and so he knew the area, and that was his recruiting territory. And so he came out and found me, convinced me to come play at the University of South Dakota. Like you said, kind of in the middle of nowhere, especially way back then. It's obviously changed a little bit now, but But I obviously love my time down in Vermilion, and wouldn't change it. Wouldn't change a thing.
One of the other members of the Ring of Honor, Mark Blackburn, also played at the University of South Dakota. Were you guys ever teammates while you were there?
We weren't teammates at USD. He actually came the season after I was done. So we just missed each other as far as playing together. But obviously I was still on campus at that time. And so we became good friends while in school, but we never actually played together for the Yotes.
You know, when you think about the time that we've spent together, and we'll be talking with Andre Fields for a while now because of his going into the Ring of Honor. But one of the things that I really have thinking back about the years is relationships. Throughout the time that we were together, it was a relationship type of friendship because it was much deeper than that. And you know, when I think back about it, you and Mark Blackburn came out of the same university and wound up being teammates for so many years with the Sioux Falls Storm. But tell us what relationships meant to you as far as being a part of the Sioux Falls Storm.
It was really, I think, why we were able to set the foundation of success that we did, because all of the guys that played with me when I first started were all local college guys, and most of us had played against each other or with each other in some capacity, and so we all kind of knew each other, and it was not only kind of a little sibling rivalry, you know, type to show how good we really were, but just having that familiarity with one another helped to really spark the bond that we were able to gain. And then through those first few years of playing, and we had this, you know, pretty much the same defense, especially on the back end. You know, up front changed just a little bit every now and then at the nose position and things like that. But for the most part, the back end stayed the same for all of those early years. And that continuity and that familiarity and like you said, those relationships really helped to make us who we were. Because when you really look at us on paper, you know, we shouldn't have been able to do some of the things that we did if you had no idea who we were individually as far as our playing abilities go, and you just looked at the schools we went to and our height and weight and everything like that. We shouldn't have been, you know, as dominant as we were, but part of the reason why we were was because of that team bond, that familiarity that we had with one another, that love we ended up developing for one another. And it's something that coaches in all levels and all sports talk about, you know, having that team camaraderie and that team bonding. We really, really had that with Sioux Falls.
You know, Dre, when you think about it, one of the building blocks of a relationship is time together away from what you're doing as a team.
Right.
When on the field, what I'm talking about. And one of the things that I think back on all these years are the bus trips. And that's when you get to know guys, don't you? And that's when the bonds really become deeper. Tell us about your experiences with the bus trips with the Sioux Falls Storm.
Well, you know, you'll have a choice but to get to know somebody when you got to spend, you know, six or more hours together in a confined space. So you definitely have an opportunity to bond and grow. And that was definitely, like you said, one of those situations where that time together, driving on those bus trips and just, you know, being away from the game, having an opportunity to talk and visit and listen to music and learn about people's personalities outside of just how they play, really did help. I mean, it helped us to forge bonds with you guys, you know, broadcast team, the athletic training team, and really get close knit. And it wasn't a cliche. I mean, we were all, you know, obviously very close, whether you were a player, a trainer, an equipment person, you know, the coaching staff, et cetera. Some of those trips really helped us to find out, like, you know, I really kind of knew how this guy was, but I really didn't know. And now, after, like I said, sitting on the bus with him for 6 hours, you're like, oh, you know, he's a cool dude, or I didn't know he liked this or like that, or that we had this in common. So those things did help. And then obviously some of the other stories also helped to forge those bonds. I mean, there was some crazy things that went on, especially when you add in adult beverages after games, because yes, all adults, so we could do that. It was okay, and we weren't driving.
Uh-huh.
So you add in all those, and you got some wild times.
You know, and that's what, you know, we think about. And back in the day, you know, one of my memories of being on these bus trips was Norm Stone and I, and we reveled a lot in those bus trips. And we had a great time. But the thing about it was, you have those great times, but when business came to business, there was nobody that you'd rather have come in and attend you than Norm Stone. And, you know, and he had to attend to you. I'm going to probably jump ahead a little bit, but he had to attend to you out in Billings, Montana, did he not? And I want to have you tell us about this man, because I gave special tribute to him in the things that I had done about this man. He had died a few years ago, but Mr. Norm Stone, the man with the tape.
Yeah, so the one thing about him, like you said, was he loved to have a good time. He was that life of the party personality. You know, that's just kind of who he was. And he loved Storm football. I mean, if you think back to in the very beginning, the year that I played in Sioux City, Norm was the head trainer. And this is something that I was told. Obviously, I wasn't here to experience it, but Norm was the head trainer. And then his military duties took him away from the team. Excuse me, Brink took over. And then when he came back, he became the second man. But he was okay with that because he wanted to be part of
having some difficulties with the connection with Andre Fields.
The organization. He wanted to, and if you know Norm through those years, you know that. So I think we might be back now. Apologize for that. But basically, I was saying that Norm is, he was Storm football. He embodied it. He loved Storm football, and I honestly do think that if in some of those years, like we were one of the reasons that maybe kept him going. And we were one of the things that he looked forward to. And I know as a trainer, he was like a player. I mean, all of those guys were kind of like a player in the sense that you knew when it was time for business. You knew when it was time for play, and you knew when it was time to turn it on and get dialed in and get focused. And those athletic trainers were like that. And when I was out in Billings in 2009, and I had just come back, I'd been with the team for about 4 weeks. This was the 5th week of my comeback to Storm football, and had a broken tibia and fibula in my right leg. So it was a devastating injury. And Norm was the person who stayed with me. He escorted me to the hospital, stayed with me in the hospital until I had my leg basically kind of put back together. and then he had helped me to get on the bus and everything. And again, that time that we shared, basically riding in the ambulance, staying in the hospital that whole night until it was time to go back to Sioux Falls, was just another bonding moment. You could see how much he cared for me as a person rather than just as a player. But definitely Norm Stone is somebody that I definitely wanted to make sure I recognize this week as well, because he played a big part in my experience with the Storm.
It was a horrific injury on a kickoff return or a missed field goal return. I can't remember what it was, but you returned the football and took a devastating hit, flipped up in the air. And as you were going over, you could tell the leg was not intact because the knee was in a different position in relationship to the ankle. And it flopped on the field grotesquely. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm the play-by-play guy. How graphic am I going to be in this broadcast, knowing that your wife at home, Liz, is listening to the broadcast? Walk us through that injury, Dre.
Right. So it was actually, we were on kickoff return, and I had a blocking assignment, so I didn't have the ball. Brian Alberti was our kickoff return man at the time, and he was coming in my direction, and I thought that I could make kind of a crackback block. That's what people would recognize that term, a crackback block to spring him free. Well, as I went to initiate that block, he was actually tackled from behind. So that sped his momentum. So obviously that threw the timing off, and that tackle, the defender and Brian both went into my right leg. And for me, as I described the experience, I
hopefully that will come back.
And I'm just giving some little time here to catch up. All right, there we go. So what I was saying is it's like a plastic white lawn chair. And if you were to snap off the leg of that plastic white lawn chair, if you can imagine what that sound would be like, because to me it sounded like plastic breaking, like a piece of plastic that just snapped in half. And I could hear the sound, and I'm falling to the ground at the same time. And like, you know, like they say in the movies, like it's obviously happening like in one real life second. But for me, it seemed like it was in slow motion. So as I'm falling to the ground, my right leg is coming over because I'm rolling in that direction. And as it gets to the pinnacle, that's when it flops down, because obviously both of the bones are broken. And I could feel it start to flop. So I reach up and I grab it. And as I hit the ground, I'm holding it in place. I'm holding it in a straight line. And I remember as soon as I hit the ground, Kyle Weaversack, the other trainer, was the first one to be in my face. Like Norm and Brink had got, started to like get things in motion, ambulance and they call it. And Kyle was tasked, I'm assuming, to talk to me. So he's in my face. And the first thing I say to him is, Kyle, I broke it all the way through. And if you know Kyle, he's dry, doesn't smile much, doesn't laugh or talk very very lively. He's just kind of monotone, and he's like, I know, Dre, we all know, we saw it. And so I'm laying there and I'm holding it together, and as long as I'm holding it, at least in my mind, as long as I'm holding it, it doesn't really hurt as bad as the initial feeling. The initial feeling, it was like, scream. And my brain said, well, it's not hurting as bad as you would think it should. And then I told myself it's because I'm holding it together. And so I couldn't let go. And I remember Norm was like, we got it. It's stabilized. You can move your hands. And I'm like, I just can't let go. And they're like, no, we got it. It's not going to move. I promise. I'm like, I trust you, but for some reason, I just can't let go. I gotta hold on to it, and slowly they start peeling my fingers back one at a time, and then I'm kind of like, okay, it's not gonna move, and as long as it doesn't move, I'm okay. And I've told this story a couple of times too. One of my teammates, Brian McIntyre, everybody else is kind of staying away, rightfully so. They're like letting the trainers do their thing, and they're kind of staying away and maybe talking about what they saw. I don't know. But Brian McIntyre was our linebacker, and he's literally like squatting in my face right next to Kyle, just looking at me. He's just, you can see he's devastated for me. And I kind of recognize that. But at this point, I'm stable there, but it's not as bad as you would think. And I look up at Mac and I say, hey, Mac, was it really that bad? And I see my connection is messing up a little bit, but I said, Mac, did it really look bad? And he like automatically kind of snapped out of his funk, and he was like, oh yeah, man, it was gruesome. Like, dude, your leg flopped like this and like that. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, I wasn't expecting you to give me the play-by-play, but I get it. I get it, and he kind of snapped him out of it. He's like, you okay? Now I'm like, man, I'm okay. I'll be all right. Go win the game for me, And then, yeah, Norm and I loaded up into the ambulance, and we rode off. And, I got to add this, Rich, since we have a little bit of time. So if you remember that season, that was the 2009 season where the Storm had started the season 6-0. And due to insurance violations in the front office, they were forced to forfeit 5 of those games. So we went to 1-5. And that was kind of what prompted me to want to come back, because I felt like the league shouldn't have penalized the wins and losses, because the on-the-field stuff had nothing to do with the front office and what they were doing with the financials or whatever. So I felt like that was wrong. And so I wanted to come back and be a part of the team that was able to absorb 5 forfeits and still win a championship. That was kind of my mindset. Well, so as we're in the ambulance getting to the Billings Hospital, right? And remember, they got the whole work comp thing scheduled out. That's how we were able to keep the season going, et cetera. And boom, we come through the hospital doors, and it's like TV, they they hit the bed, hits the doors, and they fly open, and he got nurses coming up to the bed, and she's running down questions, name, date of birth, social security number, and she's like, is this insurance or work comp? And we and Norm looked at each other, and we paused for about 3 seconds, and then we just burst out in laughter. We're like, and of course the nurses don't know what the heck we're laughing about, right? But then we're like, it's a long story, but it's work comp.
Oh, interesting ride home. I had one job in that whole ride home. Was Dre had his leg draped across the front 2 seats, and anybody getting off and on the bus had to step over that leg that was not, it was set, but it was not totally treated. It was just wrapped. And I'm thinking, my job is to make sure that nobody trips at that particular time. And here's Dre sitting there, somewhat medicated, but still very aware. And every time, like Big Daddy Anthony Thomas, you're just kind of wondering, is he going to make it?
Oh my gosh. And because they had a few beers in them, bad loss, and let's just get home, and it's late. And so everybody's walking over me, and Big Daddy's like 300 pounds, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if he slips and lands on my leg, it's over, like amputated, because it's done. That was a lot of anxiety for like 2 seconds. Like, please don't slip as you step on my leg, please.
But Dre, you've had an amazing career. How many games in a row did you start for the Sioux Falls Storm?
So the record says, the record books show that it was 108 in a row, starting with I think Game 7 or Game 8 of the 2003 season. And on, the 2003 season.
That's an
and
amazing.
Then on until sometime in 08, when I got an ankle injury, they ended up keeping me out of a Billings game in 2008.
But what an amazing stretch of time playing for the Sioux Falls Storm, and what amazing career you had as a defensive back. But when you think back on your career, when you think back on we talked about the relationships, let's talk a little bit about the games, and we're talking to Andre Fields. What games really come back to your mind that were really pivotal or special or bad or good? Or tell us about some of the games that were important to you during your career.
Great question, because it's like you can almost remember all of them, right? But the ones that stand out to me most, 2004 championship game. We had started that season 3-4, and then won 7 or 8 games in a row. Took a loss, I think, and then made it all the way to the championship game. So maybe we even swept our way after that 3-4 start all the way to the championship. That's what I think we did. I think we won 7 or 8 in a row to get to the playoffs, and then won the playoff game, got to the championship. And we assumed that it was, that we were a team destiny. We thought we were the best team ever. At that particular point, we had such a good momentum build. And here comes this team that barely got into the playoffs that was like 10-7. And they had luckily knocked off the 2-time defending champion Ohio Valley team in Lexington. And so we just knew, like, Lexington barely got in the playoffs, and they got lucky, but we're on a streak and we're the best team, hottest team, and it's in our place now, so we're just going to walk through it. And of course they came in and kicked our butts and brought us back down to reality. So that's one that definitely stands out to me. The 2008 championship game stands out to me specifically too, because I had a great game, and technically, and I was named Player of the Week that week. I wasn't MVP of the game. Black got that because he made some timely plays, but I was named Player of the Week because I had, I think, 13 tackles and a couple breakups in that championship game. And believe me, the reason why it stands out is because in my mind, I can remember all of those tackles. Like, corners shouldn't be making 13 tackles, right? Like, and it wasn't because the guys up front weren't getting it done. It was just that kind of a back and forth game. And obviously in that game, the key moment for me was there was a blocked field goal late in the third quarter, or maybe even early fourth quarter, that I was able to scoop and score. They gave us the touchdown. They gave us the lead, and we never relinquished the lead after that. So that was a big moment for me to put us ahead, and we never gave it up after that. We won that championship. The 07 championship with Lexington, when we were going for the second undefeated season, I can vividly remember having a conversation with myself on the sidelines because it was 4th and 12 or 4th and goal from the 12. Last play of the game, we were down 4. We needed to score to win, essentially, or it was over. And I remember having a conversation with myself on sidelines saying, dude, 2 years undefeated and to lose in the championship game is awesome. Like, so I know you're going to be disappointed, but you have to look at the big perspective and look at what an accomplishment that is. And as I'm having this conversation, Beanhoff catches the ball over the wall, still weird. And so it was just like, okay, forget that conversation. We're the best. So yeah, those are some of the ones that definitely stand out to me. There's some little moments too. Like I can remember a game that we actually lost in Colorado. I think in that same 2008 season, because we had been undefeated for 2 years, and then in 08 we lost a few games. And in that game we weren't playing very well, but we always had this belief that we're going to make a play and come back. Like we never. And I tell this to the guys now, I'm like, you have to get to that point where we were so confident that we could be down 12 points and we're like, somebody's going to make a play, the fumble, interception, big sack, something's going to happen. And then next thing you know, we're going to win this game, because it seemed like it had happened for 2 years. And in this game, we got to stop defensively late and gave our offense a chance. And then our offense ended up got the third down, got a first, got the fourth down. We thought it was over, got a first. So we're like, yep, I told you this is what was going to happen. And then we didn't. And then Colorado was able to stop us, and we ended up losing that game. It was in Colorado. And that stands out to me just because that was the first time pretty much in the 2 year span that we thought, that we didn't do what we thought. We were like, oh, defense will make a play, and then the offense will score, and then we'll be happily ever after. And it was the first time in 2 whole years that it didn't happen that way. So that one always stands out.
When I think back of that Lexington game that you're talking about, I remember that block kick that you picked it up and scooped it on the left side, took it all the way down the left sideline, and took it in for the touchdown. I'll never forget that call. If I'd known you would have brought that up, I'd have tried to find it, because it was such a fantastic play on your part. And then also the catch, Terrence Bryant to Casey Wienhoff for the win over the Lexington Horsemen. I have that picture hanging on my wall in the office of Terrence throwing it and Casey catching it. The only problem is when I called it, I thought Corey Walker had caught the ball, because I did not see who went over the wall. And I called it wrong. And for those that know the Storm, how could I get Corey Walker and Casey Wienhoff mixed up?
Right, exactly.
But I did.
Exactly.
Because I didn't see the first person I saw, I thought was coming back over the wall was Corey, but it was Casey. And that he came over, and I've told both those guys about that in the past, that I got them mixed up on one of the biggest plays of the entire franchise history, the catch, and the broadcaster calls it wrong with those two guys. Andre, it has been such a pleasure to talk to you, but almost even more importantly for me, it's been a pleasure and an honor and a privilege to be your friend and share all the times that we've had together. And I congratulate you on the induction into the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame for the Sioux Falls Storm. Any other final comments that you want to make before we end this particular interview?
Well, I appreciate that, Rich, and I pass the same sentiment to you. It's, you've always in the past made kind of the statement or the comment jokingly that, you're old enough to be everybody's dad, but you feel like brother. And it's true, because we don't look at you like an older guy. We look at you as one of the guys and one of the teams, one of the guys on the team, and you have a legendary voice. Obviously, I IV because they know who that is or they know that boy. And so it's an honor to be going in with you as well. It's an honor to have been a part of this because of how special it was. And we can talk about that all day, but people, I think only us who were in it can really know the depth of how special it was for those years to be a part of this organization and what we were able to build. And I'm blessed and thankful that I was able to be a part of it because, as my story goes, in the very beginning when I first got to Sioux Falls in 2003, I was one of those bubble guys. I didn't dress for several games and was kind of more or less just practicing. And it was a while because of my ego, because I had been a starter and a contributor in Sioux City against the Storm. Sure. I thought it'd be good, and then to have my, to be kind of brought back down by not being able to play those first couple games. It just really stoked the hunger in me that helped me to have that 108 game streak where I was like, I want this, I want to be a part of this. And so I'm glad I was able to. But yes, there are definitely the last, words that I would like to say is that I like to thank some of those people that when I think of Storm football and think about my time with the Storm, that they stand out to me, even though they really didn't, wasn't like they were a trainer or a coach or anything like that. But like Tim and Lori had good sense. When I think of my time, I think about them because that was a part of my whole Storm experience. Derek and Jason and Dick and those guys up at Avera who trained us and got us right every season. Nancy, some of those people that were behind the scenes, but played a huge role in my experience, in my career with the Storm. And so I just want to make sure that on some kind of a platform, if I don't get the chance to say it on Saturday night, that I shout those people out and make sure that I mention them and their contributions to the whole experience. And Colin, Kent, Todd, because Todd was the owner when I came back, and it gave me the opportunity to come back and just get right back into the mix of things. So Scott Dorman, who was my DB coach when I first started. A lot of people don't know that he had a little role in this. So there's a lot of people that played a role in it that really helped me, and especially, and obviously these are the obvious ones, but especially Poppy and Aldi, because they really challenged me in the beginning to take my mental game to another level. And me and Poppy obviously are super good friends now, and of course I keep up with Mike all the time too. But those guys really were able for me to take it to another level mentally, and then when you put that with the physicalness, then you get a Hall of Fame. So I'm excited about that.
Well, Dre, it's a pleasure visiting with you. My best to you, my friend, and thank you for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show, and we'll see you Saturday night for the induction ceremony at halftime of the Spokane Sioux Falls Storm game.
Absolutely. Go Storm. Let's come on out and celebrate and get a big win versus Spokane.
We'll be back right after this.
Powerful and playful, delicate and precise, bold and carefree. It's the way you move, and it moves us. To deliver care for your whole family, to provide options beyond the expected, to help you leave pain in the past and find your way forward. Orthopedics and sports medicine at Sanford Health. Health lives here.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old-school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high-quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rosty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rosty.
And welcome back for our final segment with the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, taking on the Spokane Shock. They used to be called the Empire, but now they're the Shock again after they had been that in the Arena Football League. But they bring a lot of interesting things to the table. Tell us about this team from Washington.
Well, they bring a veteran coach, that's played in Sioux Falls. He's coached against us and had some battles with us in different teams. You have an owner that had great success in the NFL and is an aggressive owner, to say the least. And they've established and brought in a roster full of veteran players, experienced guys. And, they'll come in ready to go. This will be, they went in Northern Arizona and got a win, but you'll see them at a totally different level coming to Sioux Falls. And that's what we try to stress to the guys, that you can't use that previous game. I mean, look at us against Louisville, and then we go to Bismarck where the buildup is. This is a chance for Bismarck to, really set their mark and take down the Storm. And I mean, it's not even close. So you can't read into previous scores.
And that's very true of this season, especially because the scores have been surprising to me at times as far as victories and also as far as losses are concerned. This year, put it this way, before we get into more detail about Spokane, do you feel, Coach, right now that what little that you've seen of this season has some parity occurred within the league?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I think new teams coming in are going about it differently. They're not just trying to build a roster. They're bringing guys in to compete right away. They're getting coaches that have experience. They're finding veteran players, and it's not really a learning process. There's a difference between teams like Spokane, Frisco, Duke City, than a team like Northern Arizona. I think they're taking different approaches. Northern Arizona is trying to build a roster, trying to get veteran players by getting experience rather than bringing in veteran guys, whereas the other teams are coming in saying, we want to compete right now.
Well, Coach, it's going to be the Spokane Shock coming into town. It's going to be called Homecoming Weekend, something new for the Sioux Falls Storm. Homecoming, reminiscent of high school and college times when you have homecoming, everybody comes back. And that's what I think that the Storm organization is trying to do with the COVID, the change, the year off, trying to build the crowd back, inviting people to come back to the games that maybe haven't come back, knowing that there's full seating, that there's even places if you would like to have more social distancing, that's that. But basically it's to bring people back for homecoming, the celebration. It's going to be the introduction of the Ring of Honor recipients and all of those different types of things. So it's homecoming and building that to bring people back. Now the Sioux Falls Storm coming off a win equal as far as being a very dominating win, coming in to take on an aggressive team out of Spokane. So what are the things that you're looking to instill in your squad having a couple weeks away from the home crowd and coming back and then facing a team that is very formidable?
Well, I think the first thing is don't look at scores. I mean, don't look at the scores and think, the way they played in a previous game is going to indicate anything when they step on the field here, because they're going to be fired up. And, they have too many good vets to allow their team to just come in and not be competitive and really try to go after us. Don't get caught up with the festivities, the Ring of Honor and stuff like that. Those are fantastic, but the guys, they got to realize they're stepping on the field for a reason, and that's to go out and perform.
The Shocker coming in with 2-1 record. Their only loss was to the Frisco Fighters, 36-33. Frisco is the only team that is still undefeated within the IFL. They also had a win over Massachusetts out east, and that was a close game also, fairly close, 33-26, and then their decisive win over Northern Arizona, the Wranglers, 42-24. But there's some familiar names that we talked about. Charles McCullum is the quarterback. He's had an outstanding career in the IFL. Tell us what this guy brings to the field for the Shock.
Well, he's played a long time, and he's played in some extremely explosive offenses where they really threw the ball around. They spread you out. They dink and dunk. They go no huddle, quick up tempo stuff. They just wear you down, and he did a great job of always getting his playmakers the ball. It's a scary thing because he knows what it's like. There's not many situations he has not been a part of. And
two of his main receivers, Jordan Jolly and Troy Evans, and they're both veterans. Evans and McCullum have played together for 6 seasons. Or Jolly, I thank you for that. But anyway, experienced wide receivers, and they have a lot of history, and that makes for a very tough combination for your defense.
Well, and then you throw Lynch in there at running back, Sap Lynch. I mean, there's probably not a more powerful, explosive back than Sap Lynch. And then, defensively, they've got some veteran leadership on that side also.
And the defense only gives up 29 points a game on the average.
Yeah, their key is really Michael Green. He does everything for them at safety. And then everything is predicated by the guy up front, Walter Thomas, the big nose tackle who we've faced before. He and Charlie Sanders had some battles, and Lawrence Martin definitely will get a test against Big Walt.
Yeah, Mike Green, I think he's one of the leading interceptors in the IFL and has had an outstanding career playing for different teams. Well, Coach, bottom line, a lot of times I talk about the bottom line, and the season marches on, the Spokane Shock coming into town. What do you have to do, and what does your team have to do to get ready for this ball club out of Washington?
Well, two big things, Rich, are we have to be willing to make them work their way down the field, and likewise, we have to be willing to work our way down the field. They'll play a lot of deep coverage, and you're not always going to have the home runs. And they're going to make sure that, guys like Brandon Shepard can't just fly down the field behind them. So we have to be willing to work our way down and earn the touchdowns rather than just a gimme. And same with us defensively, we cannot give the gimmies. And I think we've been doing a better job here the last 2 weeks of making teams earn their way down the field.
Patience comes to mind when I think about an offense.
Yeah.
Patience.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I mean, that sums it up best, Rich.
Well, Coach, my very best to you, coming off the win up in Bismarck and a weekend coming up. The Sioux Falls Storm taking on the Spokane Shock on Saturday, 7:05 at the Denny Sanford Premier Center. It's homecoming. Come out and reacquaint yourself. If you haven't been back for the Sioux Falls Storm, reacquaint yourself. It's a great time. Coach, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you after next week.
Well, and we'd be remiss if we didn't say congratulations to you and Corey and Andre. It's really cool. I don't think people understand getting in the Ring of Honor for the Storm. I'm not downplaying getting in the IFL at all, but getting in the Ring of Honor, I think is really, really a tough thing. I mean, we have so many great players and great people that have been involved, and you three I mean, we're truly blessed to have you guys part of our organization, and 3 guys that really deserve it. And it was great that our owners wanted to bring this back and get this tradition going again.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. It's an honor for me to be a part of the group of the guys that were the greatest to put on a Storm uniform.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Coach, we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, thanks, Rich.
Fireplace Professionals is a proud supporter of the Sioux Falls Storm. Our gas fireplaces and inserts from Heat and Glow and Heatolator are the best in the business. You can stop in and see the region's largest showroom or visit us on the web at fireplaceprofessionals.com and get a virtual tour. We have almost 100 Heat and Glow and Heatolator models on display and even more in stock. If you ever need advice, just call 605-339-0775 or better yet, stop in and see us at 1217 West 41st Street in Sioux Falls. You're going to love the way your home feels. Hey Sioux Falls, do you want the guaranteed best carpet cleaning ever? Then you need to check out Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration. Since 1989, Best Choice incorporates the work ethic and durability of old school family methods with the efficiency of modern equipment to offer high quality cleaning services. When they're done cleaning the carpet in your home or office, you'll be thrilled with the results. Try Best Choice Cleaning and Restoration and experience the best carpet cleaning ever.
Hi, everybody. This is Rich Rosty for the Sioux Falls Storm. When you think about sponsors that have been a part of the Sioux Falls Storm organization, there's no one that's been around longer than Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They've been around since the days of the Cobras 21 years ago. And they are a special organization, and they've been working to further enhance deliveries in Sioux Falls by supplementing their delivery staff with a third-party delivery company so you get your subs baked fresh, sliced fresh, and delivered fresh. That's Good Sense. Deli Fresh Subs. Man, that's good.
More people are choosing Silver Star Car Wash than ever. Just $14.95 per month for fast, easy, unlimited washes at all of our Silver Star Car Wash locations. Get in and out quick and easy with free vacuums and prep towels and several convenient locations all over town. You won't find a better value anywhere. Just $14.95 per month for unlimited washes. Silver Star, a better wash, a great feeling.
Powerful and playful. Delicate and precise. Bold and carefree. It's the way you move, and it moves us. To deliver care for your whole family. To provide options beyond the expected. To help you leave pain in the past and find your way forward. Orthopedics and sports medicine at Sanford Health. Health lives here.
Welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Here is your host, Rich Rosty.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We're coming up on close to 2 hours on this show, and that's by far the longest Kurtiss Riggs show that we've had. But for those of you that have watched the whole thing and hear the stories from Andre and Corey about their time with the Sioux Falls Storm, and Coach Riggs is always great on the air. It has been a very special show. I've been named to be joining Corey and Andre, along with all of the others, in the Sioux Falls Storm Ring of Honor. And this is an honor that is unbelievable for me, to be a broadcaster, being included with the men of great character and athletic ability that are gracing the shrine at this particular time. And including me is an honor that I cannot express my gratitude more than I possibly could for being included in this great group. I've been around with the Sioux Falls Storm for 20 years, 20 seasons of being with this organization and these teams and these coaches and the assistant coaches. One head coach, Kurtiss Riggs, Mike Aldrich, also a fantastic coach who's now up in Minot, North Dakota as a head football coach. But great coaches and players and organization, and just to be a part of it for so many years has been a true joy for me. I think back, and I'm not going to go into the details of the games or some of the things that the other two guys did. I was there for the very first points scored by Pete Sanchez up in Bismarck, North Dakota, the first point scored by an indoor football team. I was there for the first championship in 2005 when the Sioux Falls Storm won and defeated the Sioux City Bandits in an amazing game. Adam Hicks' game-winning field goal. I was there for the Lexington games. I was there for all of these different events and the wins that the Storm had, the championships, the United Bowls, and traveling all over, and the episodes that we had with traveling difficulties, being caught in snowstorms and getting stuck in parking lots and having buses break down and having missed flights and having flights that lost our luggage and all of those different types of things. And everything about it was a pure joy for me, and the friendships that I made and the relationships that I had with the players and everybody and the travel on the bus. All those things were just an amazing part of this incredible ride that I've enjoyed. I'm going to tell you a story about something that's very, very close to my heart. We were playing a game, this is many years ago, we were playing a game down in Peoria, Illinois, and it was a Sunday afternoon game, so we get in there Saturday afternoon. And I'm excited about being there in Peoria because the bars are open till 4 a.m. And I'm planning to go downtown and just enjoy the evening. And I was standing outside the hotel waiting for a cab, and a cab pulls up, but it wasn't for me. There was some Storm players that came out. And I said to them, well, hey, you guys heading downtown? I'll see you there. And they said, no, we're heading to church. And I thought, professional football players on the road, bars stay open until 4 in the morning. You guys are going to church? Good for you. Have a good time. And they did. They went off, and the cab came for me, and the bars closed at 4 a.m., and I was there for the final call. But I never forgot about those players and what they did and what they said, that they were going to church as they were on a away game with the Sioux Falls Storm. And later on, one of the guys invited my wife and I to join he and his wife to go out for supper, and the pastor and some other couples of their church were going out for pizza. And we went out with them. And we had a good time, and did this maybe a couple of times. And then eventually this player invited Sue and I to come to church with them. And I remember coming to church, and I was dressed up, and I had a tie on. I was all set to go. And this player came and sat with us during the service, but it was a very, very laid-back service. Nobody else in the congregation had a tie on. And I sat there and I listened to that story that the pastor was telling, and it was like he was talking directly to me. And my wife Sue felt the same way. And it touched us in an amazing way. And it changed our lives. We became very active in that church, and we still are to this day. And he changed that message, and the messages that followed changed our lives. There was never a time that I would say this, but I will say this very proudly now. In all things, I give thanks to God and my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and what he means to me and how he has touched my heart and changed my life. Changed my life in things that I do, the way I talk, the way I look at things, and so many things, all because of a Storm football player that was going to church on an away game. That player, his name was John Semchenko. I always called him Big John on the air. Big John is now the pastor of the Celebrate Church in Brandon. Thank you, Big John, for leading me to the church and to my Savior, Jesus Christ. That is my fondest memory in 20 years, being a part of this organization, the Sioux Falls Storm. Come out this weekend. It's homecoming. We invite you to come back. First 1,000 kids get a free replica jersey. There'll be tailgating. There'll be a parade. There'll be lots of things going on, but come on back. The Sioux Falls Storm take on the Spokane Shock. And I'll be bringing the game to you as I have for 20 years. Thanks for watching the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll talk to you again next week.
This has been the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Join us every week for our conversation with the Storm head coach, Kurtiss Riggs. Check out the Storm's website, SiouxFallsStorm.com, for all the latest information, schedules, history, videos, and so much more about the Storm. Thank you for watching the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sanford Health. Go Storm!